So welcome back to this module 10 relational database services. So yesterday we have gone through the slides. I'm not going to repeat on each and every slide. I'm just going to browse through the slides very quickly, and we would just quickly jump into the lab. Since we already spent some time on theory yesterday, we would just jump onto the lab today. Okay. So, what is there in this module 10? So, we did spoke about RDS, and we did spoke about what is Aurora and what is RDS and what are different type of components. We discussed about something very important, things called as multi-assay benefits. We did discuss about read replica, and yeah, we did discuss about something about the backups. So I will touch base to this slides again quickly. Then we would jump, run through the next section. Okay, so what is an RDS? So we know that RDS is a web service. Remember, RDS is a web service wherein Aurora is basically your another relational database management service that is provided by Amazon itself. So we have six database engines: MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle, SQL Server from Microsoft, and Amazon Aurora DB. Okay. So Aurora DB or the six are the database engines, wherein AWS RDS is a web service. It is a relational database service, or it is a web service that allows you to host, this six type of databases. So these are the core components of our databases, the database instances. Then we would have some security groups. Then we would have availability zones. So that is where we would talk about multiple AJ. And we have something called as a DB option group and DB parameters group. So moreover, this DB options and parameters group, we would see that later. So DB instances and security groups is what we have already seen while creating an RDS instance. So how are we gonna get access to this RDS databases? So these are the three ways we have: RDS console, command line interfaces, or programmatic interfaces. So these are like we have a master user account using which we can log in, and we have a unique DB instance identifier, and we have something called as a DB instance class. So more deeper on the concepts, we would again still jump back to the more RDS essentials. These are the prices of MS SQL. You can see standard single AZ. What is the instance name? On what instance class it is. What is the region? What is the price per hour? So when we discuss about this, how much it is gonna charge compared to hosting an on-premises database. Well, here comes the multi-AG, the important thing. So Amazon RDS multi-AG deployments provide enhanced availability and durability of databases. So when you provision a multi-AG DB instance, RDS automatically creates a primary and synchronously replicates the data to a standby database instance in a different availability zone. So what does it mean? This RDS, it performs a failover to the standby. So what does it mean? This multi-ASA is the only purpose, the sole purpose of this multi-ASA to play that is as a disaster recovery role only. So the sole purpose is DR. Okay, not for reporting and anything else. So usually when there is a user, if there is a user who's usually connecting, for example, this is my user. This user is connecting to let's say this database. Okay, so let us say he's connected to availability zone B. So maybe let me put it this way, as per the document, as per the diagram. Let me say this user is, let us assume, is connecting to master. So here it is written M, so it is the master that is running in availability zone A. So that means my end users are connected to this database. So the moment there is a the server is restarted, or there is a downtime happens, or availability zone A is not available. So what would happen? Now this ref becomes your, now it becomes your primary. Now this guy becomes your primary database. So what would happen, since this guy has lost connection over here? Now he would automatically be connected to this location. So he would be automatically connected to the the another standby that was running in multi assay. So the sole purpose is only for maintaining the disaster recovery side only, and they run on separate availability zones. They do run on their different infrastructures. So there are a lot of benefits that is written here. Multi-agent deployments utilize synchronous physical application, provides data redundancy, eliminate IO freezes, minimize latency. Unlike single AZ deployments, IO activity is not suspended. So in single AZ deployments, when you take a backup or backup of the database during the same time, there would be a performance crunch during the backup. So that is what is written here as a IO activity is not suspended. Okay. If an availability zone failure or DB instance failure occurs, automatically failover happens to complete. So typically under 2 minutes, it takes up to 120 seconds. But yeah, here we don't have to do any environment. It happens automatically. So it is that fault tolerant. So in short, if I would say what is a multi-assay? So in short, you can remember these two things only. So multi-assay is nothing but it is used for DR only. And the second thing is you can force a failover from one availability zone to another by rebooting it. So you can remember only these 2 points. So when you remember these 2 points, it is all okay for multi-assay. It is used for DR only, and you can force a failover from one assay to another by rebooting it. So because since you got say in Oracle and SQL Server, you have two databases running in a real application cluster. You have two different databases running in a standby environment. So if your one primary is in Karnataka, one secondary is somewhere in Delhi. So if you want to do a switchover, okay, so if you want to do a switchover, you can do that so manually. But here you simply, as a layman understanding, you simply restart one database, you restart the database, the other availability zone database becomes primary and up and running. And the moment this comes up, this becomes the slave. Okay. So that is how like this works the multi-user. So yeah, you can force a failover from one user to another by rebooting. Let us move quickly to the other sessions. Okay, so failover process, we saw that in within 120 seconds it is gonna come up into the bring up the instance in other zone. That's fine. The failover mechanical automatically changes the DNS record of the DB instance to point to the standby DB instance. So basically, you don't have to take care of anything. The DNS endpoint or usually the host name that we use to connect to the ASA1, the same would be automatically redirected to ASA2. So your users can seamlessly connect to the other instance or the standby instance running on the second availability zone. So we can check the status from the RDS consoles. Okay, the next important thing is read replica. Right after this, we would jump to the lab sessions. So when we talk about AWS read replica, it uses we have about for all the database engines like MySQL, Maria, PostgreSQL, it uses their built-in replication functionality to create a read replica. So what does it mean? Here is our primary running. So this is my master database. That's nothing but my primary database. And what I'm doing is basically now you think about this environment where you got a highest amount of loads in report generation. Though this master data is operational at your manufacturing site or maybe XYZ site, but still there is a lot of queries that is continuing to happen from the different developer teams or due to different management requirements. So in such cases, what we can do is we can consider about creating a read replica. Okay. So from your there's nothing but read replica is just going to be an exact duplicate of your master. It's going to be a duplicate of your master. and it is synchronously, like populated. So every data that is present in master is continuously replicated to this location. You can elastically scale out beyond the capacity constraints for a single DB instance for read heavy database workloads. So this is what I was talking about, read heavy database workloads. Okay, so if you have some read, then you can tell, hey, all the reports you fire on this read replica and let my other users continue the transaction on this master. So this way you can leverage the read replica features. You can have up to 5 read replicas, per instances. It is also possible that you can put these read replicas into different regions also. So what does it mean? It is very good part. If I have a developer team sitting in London, another developer team sitting in Mumbai, then I can have one read replica here, I can have another read replica in London. So London people can join to that database easily and they can query their data. So the best part what is happening, though my primary is running here itself in Amazon, and I'm paying a less price. On the same point, I would be getting a multi-region read replicas. So definitely that is gonna help me drive the organization's reporting in a much better way. So we would see a couple of more benefits of this read replica. Okay. Okay. So for read replica, we would see this is the slide is about a maintenance window, but yeah, I was talking about uh, just a moment. Where is the slide? Yeah, we were talking about the read replica. So for in order to have this read replica, I have just created a couple of handouts. That is most important for your exam. And while doing this practical, we would come across each and every points that would help you to run this. Okay, so what is RDS? We would understand, we would see it in practical. So read replica. So read replica, it is used for your scaling. So scaling your reporting workload, not meant for disaster recovery. The prerequisite is to turn on automatic backups to create a read replica. Okay, so backup is a mandatory feature. If you turned off your backup, you cannot do a read replica. You can have up to 5 read replica copies for any database. You can have read replica of read replica. So what does it mean? It is not mandatory that you can create a read replica of your primary only. So you can create one primary, you can create a read replica copy of that, and you can again create a read replica copy of that also. Yeah, but it doesn't make much sense because you're creating another read replica of the same read replica. You should have to consider about the latency that is utilized between these read replicas. You can create multiple read replicas for the primary. You can create a cascaded read replica also. That is what? Primary, then read replica, and again copy of your read replica. So it is possible, but yeah, you have to consider your latency and depending on different use cases. Okay, now each read replica has its own DNS endpoint. So on DNS endpoint, you can use them to connect. So you got 4 read replicas, then you will have 4 DNS endpoint. Using that, you can connect to them. We can have read replicas that have multi-AJ. So if you have enabled multi-AJ for one of your production database, it doesn't mean that you cannot go ahead and create a read replica. You can certainly go ahead and do that. Okay, so if in case the read replica is not used, as a primary database, but yeah, it is continuously getting updated with the SQL server. Hey, sorry, the read replicas are continuously, getting updated from the primary. So the sole purpose was not for DR, but in case if you want to promote this read replica to become a read write. I want to convert the read replica in Europe region to be read write. So the moment what will happen, let us assume your primary is in Mumbai, your read replica is in London, and I want to make sure that the read replica converts to primary today. So if you do so, then what would happen? The replication will no more be available. It will be disconnected permanently. you have to recreate that read replica. So having said that, you can promote a read replica to read write, but doing so would help you lose all your connections or synchronous that was happening from your primary to read replica. So before we do that, we have to consider a valid reason for doing that. Okay, so these are the high level takeaways for the read replicas and multi-essay. Now, I believe we created a database, but let me go ahead and just launch another RDS instance today. Maybe I don't recall the password of it, so that is one of the reason. So, yeah, okay. So, how do we go ahead? Go to services, go to database section, come under RDS. Okay, click on DB instances. It says 1 out of 40 is running. So let me go ahead and click on create a database. Okay, so we would use a standard create. We would use a, MySQL. I want to use MySQL for my production. MySQL Community Edition. Version is 5722. Okay, let me leave everything. Database identifier. Okay. So it's just the name of your instance, it's not the name of your database. Okay, so database 2. Okay, master username, password, what I have given here. Hopefully, I've given a password called as online DBA1. Hopefully, that works out. Okay, so DB instance size, I'm choosing the default ones, though I can change it, but let it be whatever it is. Well, allocated storage is 100 gigs. I don't think I would need that much. 20 gigs. Sorry, that requires minimum 100 gigs. So what I have chosen, let me just verify from the top ones. Create a database common, MySQL, version is default, template is default. Small changes in the securities and security groups. And yeah, I come down to database 2, the DB instance identifier, master username, password, instance size, storage, it is 1000. Okay, enable storage auto scaling, maximum storage availability. Do not create a standby instance, multi-AZ deployment. I'm disabling it during the creation. Now connectivity. Now here we can choose to have a default VPC, or else we can go ahead and create a new VPC also. But yeah, for the sole reason, since this is a database instance, I am creating a new VPC as part of RDS creation. Uh, okay, and yes, so password authentication, additional configurations is fine. Okay, this is what the DB instance cost is this, storage is this, provision is this, billing estimate is based on the demand usage, and this is what the cost it comes. So this is why, because we have choose the production ones, so that is why you could see this pricing. But since we are doing it for our own training purpose, let me go ahead and choose back the free tier. Okay, please note it to change it to the free tier. So now you can see there are a few things has been changed. Now you can see 16 GB RAM to 1 GB RAM, it will come to vegetables class. Okay, so now storage is fine, multi is not there. Create a VPC, that's it. Password authentication, that's it. So it is free for up to 12 months, each calendar month. Okay. and 20 GB. If you get this, then you get a 20 GB of general purpose SSD and 20 GB of automated backups and any user initiated DB systems also. Okay, so let me go ahead and click on create database. So I'm assuming I will have a database created uh, quickly, maybe in 5-10 minutes. Let's go ahead and create this. So until then, it is this database is getting created. You can see it says that it is creating. So it is regional age would come once it is getting created, then CPU and current activities. So it is still under creation, and yeah, let me refresh here. If it doesn't refreshes immediately, then you can, hard refresh this whole Chrome. So I'm refreshing it. Okay, while it is still creating it, now let me go ahead and create a EC2 instance. Okay, so I believe we all did this in the past, and yeah, so we are going to do it quickly. Okay, let me come to compute EC2. Let me try to launch an instance, and there is an option to bootstrap. We can put a bootstrap script. Oh, so EC2 screen is going to be, redesigned, so you would get a new screen. Now, so make sure you log into this and continue practicing on this, or else if there is a change happens, then you would be in a panic. Okay, so let me go ahead and click on launch instance. So let me select the default ones. Okay, let me click and select review next instance details. Okay, so VPC, we can use any VPC. Okay, now before I go ahead and create this, I would click on create a new VPC. Though we have a default VPC which is open to the world with 80 port and HTTPS and all that, but I wanted to give it a better name. So you can see we have these two things. If you come down, then you can see the details. Okay, anyways, let me first create a VPC, then we would come back to the security groups. So let me call it as, like VPC underscore DMZ 10.0.0.0/16. Okay, tenancy default created. Okay, so I just created a VPC underscore DMZ. I would just go back and create a security group. Okay, so if you see this lunch widget security group, you can see the inbound rules. It has TCP port is open. That we usually use it, while creating or connecting to an instance. So what we would do is we would create another security group called as a create security group. Okay, so VPC is a VPC DMZ open for web hosting. For example, I would say that SG hyphen web DMZ. Okay. Now inbound rules, I'm just gonna add. I'm just going to say SSH, for example, 22, and customer CID range. We can say 0, the default one. I will take it. HTTP, I'm gonna use port 80 default. HTTPS, we are going to use 443 from all places. Now go ahead and create it. Okay, so group name is SG underscore web DMZ, and this is my group ID. So this, if you click, you can see this is all there. Okay, you can SSH, you can launch a website, you can do everything out of it. Okay, so let me go back to the CC2. Let me refresh this and let me select the VPC underscore DMZ. No subnets found. Create a new subnet. Let us quickly create a subnet on this DMZ VPC underscore DMZ cider availability zone. Let it be availability zone A, and the first subnet availability zone 1.0 slash 22. Let me not use it. Okay, create it, close from here. Okay, so this is the default subnet. Okay, auto is an IP. Okay, rest everything is fine. Click on add storage. I'm not gonna do change much of it. I'm just gonna click on add tags. I'm just gonna add a tag. I would say name equal to, I would say my abc store.com. Okay, now next, configure security groups. Select an existing security group. We can use this security group which has these things. If you come down, you can see 80 22 443 is already there. Now click on review and launch. It is open to the world, that is fine. Launch it. Let us launch the instance. Select an EC2 pair. Launch the instance. Okay, it's getting created. Okay, I just forgot to mention you another bootstrap script over here. Meanwhile, this is launching. Let me go ahead and click another launch instance quickly. I would just like to show you the bootstrap thing only. How can you do it? So over here, you can come down to advanced details. So let me choose the default ones. I'm using a subnet. I'm using a VPC. DMZ, and come down, and advanced details. Okay. So in advanced details, you can see there is a user data as a text. Okay. So if you remember, a couple of sessions back, we tried to host a single page static website. But yeah, today we would, host a WordPress website. So I have written this couple of comments. I'm just going to go ahead and paste it over this location. So what would happen whenever your instance is getting launched or getting created at the end of instance creation or end of boot process, this text that you have given would be executed at one. Okay, so this would automatically be executed. So here you can see it says bin bash. So this is simple calling the bash shell. Now it says yum install httpd and php MySQL. Then it is going to var triple w html. Then it will do wgets wgets. So WordPress is fine. So let me see if this URL is fine or not, or else I will have to change this URL. Uh, Okay, so here you can see it is working. So 10.2 MB got downloaded. Okay, so let me go ahead and click copy and paste it here. So it is pasted onto my console. Now it would unzip this tar file, then copy this var folder. So, okay, if there is any Arman old WordPress is there, it will remove it. If a new is there, it will be created. Some change permission of some folder would happen. And you can see so these are a couple of things. I would call it as a bootstrap script. So whenever you run an instance, at the end this would get automatically executed. So this is what I was trying to do it on the previous one. So let me just launch another instance and go ahead and do it. uh, okay, now click on next. Add storage. Okay, so I'm just moving ahead with all the default values. View instances. Okay, so one is running, one is getting pending. So let me add some tag. Let me call it as a web server 1. Server 1. Web server 2. Fine, both are running. Okay, now let us go back to our RDS and see. So we see this instance has been already created. We can go ahead and log into this instance, and we can see whether we are able to connect or not. We can launch our why it doesn't have a public IP. Okay, I have given I did not given a public thing. Okay, so here we can say, I'm just doing a refresh onto this page. Then here you can see the public IP address. Let me just copy it and go to a new browser and paste the IP address there. That's it. So let me go ahead and put the IP address and see what happens. Though it is still initializing, it should take some another minute of time to come it up. So okay, meanwhile we would check whether the RDS instance has been created or not. Okay, we should see it is available. Now it is available. Okay, so RDS instance is available. Now once the EC2 instance is available, we are good to start with the read replica, and we would see whether the website is launching or not, whether we can configure it or not. Okay, running instances are still initializing, and hold for a moment. Okay, now here you can see it is working. So what does it mean? So the important was with this security group. So I have added this HTTP and now it started working well. Okay, so let us go back to the EC2 instances. So now this is my EC2 instance. This is my security group. Now you can see view inbound rules. Now you can see port 80 is there. Now port 80 and 443. So this two is what we added. Now this is open. Now this is saying yes, WordPress is open. In order to set up WordPress, please provide these informations. So what is a WordPress? So a WordPress is nothing but it is a software designed using PHP. It is a packaged web page software. Using this, you can customize your blog sites, customize your business sites, everything you can do it, and it would store your data in a server called as it would store it in a MySQL or MariaDB kind of a server. So in order to store these things, it is asking me, give me the database name, the database username, password, host, and all those details so that I can connect to the database and store the information in database. Then your website would be launched. Okay, so before we do go ahead into that, so in order to get this WordPress up and running, what we did is we just undid this bootstrap script. So this is very simple script. We did this in the past. The only difference was that we did not do, created a WordPress. We created a single page site. Now WordPress is a packaged site with a lot of packages functions all built into it. So that's how it is. Okay, now my sole purpose is basically now this EC2 instance is supposed to hold the applications and the RDS instance is supposed to hold your database instance. Now this is going to be the DBS instance. So we would say database 2. So this is another instance that is where our EC2 is going to be connected. So it is going to be a two-tier architecture. One node where your application is running, and second node your database is running. So let us see. We would first try to set it up things. But before we do that, let us jump inside this database -2. Look at this very carefully. So you want to see what the details of your MySQL database. Note a few important points to be noted. Amazon RDS. Okay, you cannot, use Amazon RDS. You cannot SSH into the operating system. You cannot SSH into the operating system. So RDS always runs on a virtual machine. You cannot SSH into the RDS instance. You cannot log into the operating system of the RDS instance. Patching RDS operating system and database is Amazon's responsibility. And another thing is not serverless. So there is a serverless concept that we are going to discuss later, where you can get an option that Amazon Aurora DB engine can be a serverless, but RDS is not serverless. This point is important to be remembered for the exam and interviews. So that is why I have made this additional handouts. So just make sure that we know what RDS is doing. So you cannot log into the database server or the operating system. You cannot do any administration work onto this. Rather, you can connect it and you can create a table. You can create objects, but you cannot create backend or administration related objects. Okay, so this is what is few things about the RDS. So if you come down here, you can see connectivity and security. You can see this is the endpoint. So you can use this as a host name whenever you want to connect to this RDS instance. Now here you can see the port is basically 3306. Availability zone is east to west to C, and the rest are the default informations. Coming back to monitoring, CPU, free storage, number of connections, few informations, logs and events. Okay, nothing as of now. Configuration. Yeah, it says that here you can see in configuration. It says what is the version, what is the instance ID, what is the multi-ASA, whether multi-ASA is enabled or not. No, is there a secondary zone? No. So if it is not enabled, it is not there. So maximum storage can be 1 TB, minimum would be 100 gigabytes. Okay, so this is all there. Now, what actions can be performed on top of this instance? If you could scroll up, right side top, you can see you can stop this instance, reboot this instance, delete, upgrade, everything. You can create a read replica also. So please note, it is important. If you have not set up your backup, then read replica will not come. So for example, if I had come to maintenance and backups, you can see it is enabled. So there is a maintenance window, that is where the backup of the database is enabled. You can see automated backup service. So that is the reason your read replica access is enabled. Now if I just go back to the other databases, okay, let me go to actions. Now here you can see the create read replica is disabled. So for one RDS instance it is disabled, for the other it is enabled. Why? Because for this RDS instance there is a automatic backup is already enabled. So for this RDS instance it is disabled. So if you come down, you can see there is no backup is happening for this. Automatic backups are disabled. Okay, so that is the only reason you have your read replica is disabled. Now the moment you would enable the backups on this one automatic backup, then it would start recording as designed. Okay, quickly go back to database instances. We would go back to database -2 and we saw a couple of informations. Okay, in actions we were like, yeah, we can do this thing, stop, reboot, delete, upgrade, and all that, and create read replica. So that's what we understood. And here, create a Aurora read replica. So what is Aurora read replica? So when you say click Aurora read replica, so your MySQL will be primary, but the secondary will get created in Aurora replicate. Okay, so they can post the logs. So internally that follow, they are supposed to post it. Sorry. So create Aurora replica. So yeah, so from MySQL to Aurora, you can create a replica. So that means if tomorrow you want to migrate in a MySQL database to an Aurora, then this could be a simple way. Go to MySQL database, create Aurora replica. Then later onwards, you can promote that replica to become a primary database and decommission your old MySQL database. So that can certainly be possible. There is another way is called as a take a snapshot. So using snapshots or using the automatic backups. Along with automatic backups, there are transaction logs is also stored by the database server. So those transaction logs can be used to restore the database to a point in time in the past. So it is fine, it is possible. You can restore a point in time, you can take a snapshot, migrate it, you can create Aurora replica, migrate it back to Aurora. It is possible. You can create multiple read replicas. But first, what we would do is we'll come down to modify class section, click on modify. Then what we are going to do here is multi-AZ deployment, click on yes. Specify the DB instance should have a standby deployed in another availability zone. So yes, I need it. That is why I am here. Rest everything I'm clicking it same, simple, and just coming down, and I would say continue. Okay, so continue. Let me click on continue and verify whether the AJ has been. Okay, so here it says there would be a potential performance impact. So while creating multi AJ, your database is going to get copied to a second availability zone. So during this conversion, the database can have a significant performance impact. So if you're using it for a production instance, then make sure that you take a business downtime and do it over the weekend or over the night, when your business is not critical. So that's one of the point we have to remember. Now, if you see here, it says apply during the next scheduled maintenance window. So it is he's assuming that it might be production, so you put a scheduled window. But no, I'm just gonna do it apply immediately. I don't have any users. Okay, click on modify DB instance. Okay, now come back to the configuration and you can scroll it down. You can see multi-AZ is no, secondary zone is no. Why? So let me go back to the databases. See, it is showing here the instance status as a modifying. So it is gonna take another 5 to 10 minutes for creating your multi-AZ. So multi-AZ is nothing but you can see your database is in 2B availability zone. A copy of 2B is being created in 2C availability zone. So that's basically it's a multi-AZ database. The sole purpose of this is to be used for DR, not for reporting or scaling. Okay. So until it modifies this AZ, so I'm just gonna hold on for a moment. Let me just pause the video. Finally, this database 2. Now the multi-AZ is available. Let me click on the database -2. Now you can come back to the configuration and you can come down here. You can say multi-AZ is yes. Now you got EU West .2a is your security zone. So if you go click on databases, now you click on database 2. So this is what we got. Okay, so this is your availability on 2C, but in your configuration you can see it is running on 2A also. So if your 2C is down by some reason, then you should see your multi-AZ is up and running in 2A with the same endpoint. Okay, now once it is done, so this is a multi-AZ has been enabled, so this is used for DN, not for scaling out purpose. So before we do the scaling out, let us verify by trying to connect to our database by using this MySQL. So we created a MySQL instance. What is our database name? Let us find out the details. Uh, okay. We need to see what actions we can do. Okay, so here on this RDS instance 01, I'm trying to enable read replica, but you can see the read replica is disabled. So let me go ahead and modify the backup settings. So once I would enable the backups, then I would be able to create a read replica. So yeah, this is all default things. Settings, the DB identifier, security group, mm, backup. So here you can see the backup retention is 0 days. So if you set it to setting this parameter value to 0, it disables the automatic backup. So you set it to a value more than to something some days. So we have 35 days available. Let me keep it for 30 days or anything. So number of days for which automated backups are retained. So for 30 days the automatic backups are going to be retained. After that it is going to be recycled. So the daily time during which automated backups are created if automatic backups are enabled. So this is the time period. Okay. So yeah. So that is okay. So we enable the backup. Now click on continue. Modify the DB instance. Oh, sorry. There was a problem. It has gone to 0 days. I would say 32 days, some numbers. And when I continue, apply during the next scheduled window. Okay, so this was selected and clicked on modify DB instance. Let me click on apply immediately. Yeah, there would be a performance impact, so that's fine. Let me go ahead and click on modify DB instance. Okay, so here the backup is enabled. Now you can see if you come down to the configurations, and yeah, you can come down to maintenance and backups. So it is, the automated backups is disabled. It should be changed. Let me refresh the page. See, it is modifying state. It is modifying this. So once this is done, we should be able to see that the automatic backup is being enabled. Let's hold on for a second. Okay, so create RAID replica DB instance. So you can choose it to be a multi-user. Let me go ahead with no storage type same. Okay, now this is where it is important. Now we had a EU London. Now you want to create a replica somewhere in the US West. Yes, it is pretty well possible. Okay, but yeah, so that's what is the advantages of having a RAID replica. But yeah, for the moment, let me choose the default one. Availability zone, you can choose it to be anything. Publicly accessible, do you want to access it publicly? You can choose it to be yes, you can choose it to be no, let it be yes. Okay, default, you can enable encryptions. Well, that's it. RAID replica source, which database source to be instance, so RDS instance. Okay. Now DB instance identifier, let me leave it everything empty, go ahead with the default things. Maintenance. Okay, create RAID replica. Let me put here INSTR01. Let me see. Now here you can see it is the replication is happening RDS INST01 master. Replication is happening to be, and replication source is 01. So this is RDS INST R01, and this is RDS INST 01. So that's nothing but if I click on this one, the RAID replica is here. So to be configurations, it is not multi-AZ. That's it. Let me click on databases. You should be able to see RDS01 and R01. So one is a master, one is a replica. It is still modifying. It will take still some time to give us, the more details. Like we still do not have the endpoint as came up yet, so it will take some amount of time until it modifies it. Okay, so hopefully at this point now we are understand what is multi-ASA. We did create it. That is where we spend most of the time on waiting. And second thing is basically creating a master and replica. And we understand the differences between multi-ASA and master replica. Now think about, we would go back to what we were trying to do it. We were trying to launch an EC2 instance, trying to host a website. So this is my database one. Okay. So if I come down here to configurations, so I can see my DB name is MySQL DB. Okay, MySQL DB, and I have used a password called as a online DBA1. So I have used a password. So make sure you note your password what you have given during this creation. Connectivity and security. So this is your endpoint. This is your port. So listen, what is happening here is try to understand this very interesting thing. Okay. See, this is from the internet. When we are trying to connect it to a particular web server or particular, web page if we have created. So certainly what we do is, let me call this as my web server. So basically users are trying to connect from here to here. Okay, so this is the web server. So in this case, what happens? So there is a port 80, right? There is a port 80 that is opened here, so that your users can connect from your internet to this location. This is what happens. But now what we are doing, earlier web server was sitting on this server, so it was pretty fine. But now this time we have separated, we have made it to a multi-tier architecture. Now what is the difference here is basically, let me put up another server shape that is for our database. Let me call it my database. So that is nothing but my database. So this is where my MySQL database is running. Okay, this is where MySQL database is running, and this is where my HTTPD application or WordPress is running, and this is my user. So this user is connecting to this using port number 80. Okay, but when user would send a particular request, now this would user will connect using port 80. So port 80 is open in his security group. Now when this application server is trying to connect to the database, in database he would need a port number. So that is your MySQL port number, that is your 3309. So let me see, 3306. Sorry, it is 3306. So you would need a host name, you would need a port, you would need a username admin, and we have a password also. But apart from this, most importantly, our security group, okay, our security group to which this database belongs to. So you can see this is the default security group. So this security group should have inbound rules to allow 3306. So there should be a 3306 should be open over here. So if you can see, it says all traffic. No, I don't want this. So no, I can go ahead and add it, and I would add a rule. I would say it is MySQL only, MySQL slash Aurora 3306, and allow it from the whole world. But it is my database, I should not be allowing it from the whole world. So what I would do is I would allow it only from the one where my database security group is there. So I remember my EC2 instance security group is lunch wizard 1. Okay, so let me select this. If not sure, let me go ahead and check. Go to EC2 dashboard, click on my running instances, click on this web services. You can come down and you can see lunch wizard 1. Okay, so now lunch wizard 1, so that's it. So lunch wizard is 683, so this is the 0683. It's starting with yeah, where is it? Yeah, so it's starting with 0683. So that's the group ID. This is the same group ID. Now click the side rule and click on save. Now this means we should be able to get the connectivity. Now hope you can understand, this is your database server. This is where you need your 3309 port to be created. Okay, so okay, so let me put it this way. This is 3309, this is port 80. Now, since port 80 is already up and running, so that is why our EC2 instance is able to open this WordPress file. Now, let's go. Let me click on a WordPress site. It is asking me database name. You all know the database name is here. Let me go back to the security RDS services, come underscore database RDS. Okay, this is database 1. Okay, so this is your endpoint, this is your 3306, and come down database instances, configuration. Your DB name is MySQL DB. DB name is MySQL DB. Username is admin. Password is word downline DB1. Local host. So it is assuming that WordPress is going to connect to a MySQL database running on the same machine. But yeah, this time it has changed. The database is no more running on the same machine. We have created a new instance for the database. So that's your endpoint. So let's go ahead and put this into your host name. Okay, so that's it. So that's a table prefix. That should be nothing but all your tables would be created with this prefix. Now let me click on submit. Okay, so it says that it cannot write the wp.config.php file. So in EC2 instance, it is trying to create this file, but it is unable to do so. So you can create this file manually also. So we can go ahead and do it. Let's try to launch to this instance. Put a my first EC2. Okay, I had a London EC2 pair. Okay, so here I have the London EC2 PEM file. Let me get the EC2 instance details. EC2 instance. Let me get his public address. EC2-user @ I don't think this would work. We have given London, right? Let me change the key. 40. Let me load this. SSH auth. Okay, so I'm logged into the server. Let me leverage this user to sudo su hyphen. Then I would say var slash www slash html. So you can see these folders I did not create it. If you remember, we run this bootstrap script. So this has created all this. Okay, so these are the default folders. Now it has copied this WordPress to this location. If you see, yes, it has contains the WordPress file. So wp-config.php file is what we are going to create here. .php wp-config.php file wp-config.file. So copy everything and go ahead and put it. Save it. So here I got a wp-config.php file. Now it should say I should be able to work. It should able to work now. So let me go ahead to run the installation. Okay, site title. Okay, username I say dwadmin for example, and I'm gonna use a password saying online dba1, and I'm gonna say confirm use of weak password. It's fine. Okay, that's it. Now I can say dwadmin is the user. This is the password. So this username password is for administering your WordPress. Huh? So now when you say install, okay, you must provide an email address. Let me just go ahead and give something. Okay, confirm use of weak password, not correct. Wow. Okay, now login. So now you can log into WordPress. Now username or email, dwadmin. Now all the password I have given is online dba1. Okay, you have logged in. So this is my WordPress site. So this is well, everything is good. You can post your blogs, you can change your themes, you can do everything you want. For example, let me just go ahead quickly and change the theme so that you can see, like how does it looks like. Uh, okay, so it's already there is a theme like this. So it's fine. We can have this theme. So let me just take this website address and put it here. So this site address is nothing but this is your EC2 instance IP address. Oh, now you got your website hosted up, right? So we spent about 1.5 hours, but yeah, in this half hours we created a multi-ASA, we created a read replica, we did hosted a database-driven WordPress website. Okay, so I think that was the whole motive of this course. So in a nutshell, what we did today is basically, we created one EC2 instance called as a web server R1. While creating an instance, we used a bootstrap script like this, so that when the instance was created at the end, this bootstrap script was created and your WordPress was launched. Or else, if you have already created your instance, you can go ahead and run these things manually. And this thing we have done it in the past also, and it worked seamlessly. We launched a single page static website also. So in the past we have already created what we call it, we installed httpd and we started the httpd, so kind of thing, yum install httpd. So this is what we have done in the past. So anyways, this was the bootstrap script. We used it while launching this EC2 instance. This is first thing. Second thing, we went to storage, then database, then RDS. Okay, so in RDS, we understood that RDS is a web service. Under this, we can create multiple databases, and we have about 6 databases in this that is supported as part of this. So we know create database. Here you got the 6 database engines: Aurora, MySQL, MariaDB, PostgreSQL, Oracle, and SQL Server. So that is fine. We started up with creating a MySQL database, and we created a MySQL database. Then we created a master replica. So you can see the read replica is RDS INST01 and read replica is RDS INST R01. Okay, now you can see this is your endpoint for your read replica. If you want to generate some report from your MySQL, you can connect using this. If you want generate some report from your primary, you can connect using primary's RDS endpoint. So both are having two separate endpoints. So that is applicable for read replica. Apart from this, we did also created a multi-assay option also for this database. If I come down to configurations, you can see multi-assay is enabled, and the secure secondary zone is your EU West 2A. So you have got two instances. One instance primary is running in one zone and the secondary is running in a second zone. Remember that this ASA is purely for your disaster recovery purpose only, not for scaling up or any other reasons. Read replica is solely meant for your read-only workloads. You can create up to 5 read replicas. Okay, so apart from this ASA and read replica, we did also had another database instance we created. That is where we have a database called as a MySQL DB. So most importantly for this database, it is belonging to a security group. For this security group, we had to allow a port for called as a 3306 MySQL port, and most importantly we are allowing this port only to this security group. So any instance which is part of this 0683 security group, also called as Lunch Wizard 1, only those servers can access to this MySQL. You create another instance in a different VPC or in different security group, you cannot access this MySQL. So that's a part of your security. That something is needed in order to connect to your database instance. So today a lot of things were on plate. So that is all. So last not but the least, so these are the points to be remembered. So this is what the points. Let me just last 1 minute. Let me browse through them. So RDS lab takeaways. RDS runs on virtual machine. You cannot SSH into RDS instance. You cannot log into the operating system of the RDS instance. Patching of RDS OS and DB is Amazon's responsibility. Second other thing is basically your RDS is not serverless. Your Aurora is a serverless. So what is serverless? We were going to discuss later, but yeah, for now it is important from exam point of view that we must go through this. Now read replica, it is used for scaling, not meant for DR. And the prerequisite, we have seen that we must need to enable automatic backup. So this indicates that the read replica is created using your existing backups. Okay, so basically having said that, yes, you have to create your read replica. So you can have up to 5 read replicas. You can have read replica of read replica, but watch for latency. Okay. Now each read replica has its own DNS endpoint. As I told you, it has a different host name or different DNS endpoint that you can separately log in or to your read replica and generate your reporting queries. You can create read replicas of multi-assay source database also. That is fine. So if your database is multi-assay also, you can go ahead and create read replicas. Read replicas can be promoted to be primary database, but note this will, break this will, break the replication. So there would be no more replication. If you promote that replication database to be over read and write, open it, use for some other thing, your replication is broken. You have to create your new replicas. Okay. You can have a read replica in a second reason also, and we also saw one option that for MySQL we can have Aurora replica also, but we didn't create it yet, so that can be used as part of your migration. So that's all about your read replica. Multi-assay used for DR purpose only, and you can force a failover from one zone to another by rebooting server. So what does it mean? You reboot one server, your other system should be up in another zone. So that is all for today. Any questions? Let me know. Let me stop this recording. You can continue with your questions.